when you start talking about people that are dating for 6 years, discovering that they're siblings, I think after that.
What?
Is that the one that like sticks with you?
Oh, for sure. They did a DNA test, one of the at-home send in. So they first got it back and they're like, did we accidentally corrupt it? Like, why are we matching? Like, this is crazy. But luckily, they'd been together for 6 years.
So many questions. Did they look alike?
What's up, everybody? This is Chris Longo. We are in the Den at South by Southwest 2025. We are here with some incredible people. Rachel Lindsay, the host of Higher Learning. Love that show.
Thank you.
Morgan Absher, host of Two Hot Takes, one of my girlfriend's favorite shows.
Love to hear
Amazing.
it.
And Jordan Newman, you are the Senior Director of Content Partnerships at Spotify.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Jordan, I want to kick it off with you because you have two amazing podcasters sitting next to you. And broadly speaking, I want to kind of understand what Spotify is looking for when it looks for different shows to kind of bring into the system there. And then what you saw in Rachel and Morgan that kind of emulates that.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you think about us?
Nice
Right in the middle here. No pressure.
I see why you wanted you in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the great things about podcasts is it's such a diverse format. There's really something out there for everyone. There's long form, there's short form, there's interview, there's solo. And what's great about Spotify is we really want to be the home for all the different type of content out there. I also think what's really unique about Spotify and about podcasting is it really attracts the most loyal audience possible. Everyone feels like they are best friends with their favorite podcast host. And I think that's really what these two bring to the table. They have really loyal audiences. They've built that relationship with their audience over time. And when people listen or watch their show week after week, they feel like they're in the room with their best friend. And I think that is sort of the key ingredient for success in the podcast space. It's being able to have that kind of relationship with the audience where they feel like they know you.
So Rachel and Morgan, I know you both took very different paths to get to this spot where you are right now. I was wondering, for our audiences that don't know you guys, could you fill them in a little bit about your backgrounds and the shows that each of you have?
I started out, we're in Austin, which I went to University of Texas, Hook'em Horns, to study law. I went to law school, practiced for 5-6 years, and then took a sharp left turn, went on The Bachelor, then became The Bachelorette. That didn't work out well, but that's okay. It changed my life forever. And I immediately thought I really love holding a microphone and talking to people and getting to know them. And, being a lawyer, there's a form of interrogation, deposition, all of that. And I really loved asking questions and going deeper and that kind of thing. And so I stepped into media, started out in sports, did some work with ESPN, and then it was Bill Simmons. And then I did some entertainment stuff, and then Bill Simmons came over and said, do you want to do something you're proud of? And I thought, am I not? And then I thought, no, I understand exactly what he's saying. And then came Higher Learning. And I have to say, podcasting, I did not think would be something that I do. And it is the most rewarding experience. I'm obsessed with it. I'm so passionate with it. I can't speak about it enough. I love it so much. And so I'm happy that this is where my path has led me.
I feel the same way. I'm like, I never thought I would be a podcaster, but here we are, and I'm so appreciative of everyone that listens. I'm from Minnesota originally, moved out to Los Angeles for grad school, so I went and got a doctorate in occupational therapy. I graduated April 2020, though, right as we were really locking down, so I couldn't even sit for my board exams. Once I did sit, passed them, no one was hiring because all hands on deck. They couldn't train a new grad, so I was sitting unemployed for almost a year and getting a little blue, little bored. And so I was on Reddit constantly looking, at these crazy stories to get a little bump in my life. And you can only annoy your friends with them so long. And so I was like, what about a podcast? And started posting February 2021 and have just worked my butt off since then, and now part of the Spotify family as of last week. So it's been quite the journey.
I want to just kind of touch on the rewarding aspect of it, because obviously both of your shows are very different. And I think from Morgan, your side of it, it's a little bit more personal to people. Rachel, from your side of it, you're covering issues, you're covering news, you're covering the kind of culture at large. Can you talk a little bit about like what that relationship is like with the audience and what that kind of give and take looks like and how that kind of affects how you look at the show?
Yeah, 2020, a powerful year. We started our podcast in 2020, and it actually was supposed to be more light and fun and kind of a response to the Breakfast Club, but the West Coast version of it, but different topics that we were going to cover, go a little bit deeper. But then 2020 happened, May 2020 specifically, and our podcast became a response to what was happening in the culture. And that set a tone and created a community on a more personal level than we originally even anticipated. Yep. We would cry, we would, just like whatever it is that we were feeling in the moment, we would just say it. And then we just realized that Reddit actually became like our sounding board, and we have a love-hate relationship with our Reddit group. But it became we were seeing that what we were feeling, other people were feeling. And so that really set the tone for our podcast and created this beautiful, beautiful community, something that I don't think I was expecting with podcasting. It's the community of it. And I think now, in 2025, people are searching for community more than ever. So, to have a podcast and to have that space where people can bounce ideas off of each other and feel each other has really been beautiful. I do this all the time. I'm not sure if I'm quite answering your question, but I think
you absolutely nailed it.
Okay, I think I'm there. I'm gonna let Morgan
Yeah,
talk.
no. Oh my God, I just got something in my eye.
I was like, did I make you cry?
No,
Yeah, that's a really good answer.
Thank you so much.
I'm getting emotional here in the Den of Geek at 9:30 in the morning.
No, I completely agree. I think that's what surprised me most about podcasting is how passionate the community is. I think COVID was a big shaper in that for me as well, because 2021, when I started, like, Australia was still locked down. Like, so many people had lost family members, friends, like their circles had really shrunk, and it gave them a real sense of friendship again and community. And I think that's what has made podcasting so popular is it's quick. You're getting updates real time. It's not this, 3-month journey to then get the next episode. It's weekly. It's quick, and it's real more than anything. Like, both of us had real lives. Like, I was a Lululemon worker. I was a flight attendant. You were a lawyer. Like, we are real people, and I think people and their screen and their ability to sense real nowadays is like that's all they want. And so I think podcasting really provides that, and that's what the community really buys into.
It's becoming such a audio, video medium. Obviously, a lot of what Spotify is doing right now. I was curious, Jordan, what you're seeing on the Spotify end and how people are choosing to consume. Because I know Morgan's show just came out on video, which is exciting. I know, Rachel, you guys have been on video for quite a bit now. Can you tell me a little bit about how you guys are approaching that?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of people choose to watch video podcasts instead of just listen, and we think it's great. We're seeing a lot of creators like these two who are video podcasting and really finding ways to sort of engage their audience. I think on Spotify, we found that video is coming in fast. I think about half of our top 20 podcasts now have a video component on Spotify. And so I think the other piece of this is the appetite of the audience has really changed in the past 2-3 years, whereas before I think there were some podcasts that had video and people watched it occasionally. But now I think there's a growing expectation that for a certain type of podcast, there is a video component. Doesn't mean that people are going to watch it 100% of the time, but I think for some of those really special moments, whether the poignant moments that make you cry or the like hilarious moments that you're reading on Reddit, there are times when people want to see what's actually happening on screen. And so at Spotify, we've really been working hard to enable people to be able to watch or listen at their choosing. And that's why we've seen sort of a big influx of video.
Rachel, has that changed your relationship, the audience, if at all, over this time?
Oh, with video? Oh, absolutely. Well, one, I have to focus on my appearance, which I really don't. Like I like roll out of, maybe that's the rawness and the realness of, I'm prepared, but not physically. But I absolutely think so, because to hear is to one thing, but we do so many playful things, and I apparently can't control my facial expressions. So my facial expressions are like another character on the podcast. So if you watch it, you get another level. It takes you even deeper. I think we do a great job. I mean, we started not in person. We started on Zoom because it's 2020. We were in different cities. But I think when we you know, when we're in person and you see us together, it just adds to it. I always say we're like your favorite cousins. You feel like you're pulling up a seat at the dinner table or at the family reunion, and video just enhances so much. And I think we at Higher Learning, we've been so grateful that we were one of the first at Spotify, and our podcast, Morally Corrupt, that I do, All Things Bravo, is now video on platform as well. So that's really, really exciting too.
Van's cowboy hat's another character.
Oh my gosh. And do you know where the cowboy hat started?
Let's get the
South by
origin story.
Southwest. In Austin last year, came here to do something with Spotify, went to the store. This is going to be you, Chris. Went to the store.
Maybe it'll be all of
and
us.
now
Manifesting.
he's like, I'm tapping back into my roots. And, you know, the cowboy hat is here to
Get him
stay.
back down here next year with the Midnight Boys. Morgan, I was curious, any stories or questions sent in that are just simply too chaotic to put into the world?
I love that.
Honestly, I feel like nothing is really off limits. When you start talking about people that are dating for 6 years, discovering that they're siblings, I think after that.
What?
Is that the one that like sticks with you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, that
so what
one.
You had that
They
one
do.
teed up, ready to go.
They were both adopted, but he was really close with his adopted parents. They did a DNA test, you know, one of the at-home send-in. So they first got it back and they're like, did we accidentally corrupt it? Like, why are we matching? Like, this is crazy. But luckily, you know, they'd been together for
Luckily
6
what?
years.
So many questions.
What
Did
did
they
they
look
do?
alike? Did they like have to say like what happened? What
They
made
said
them-
they didn't look alike, but you know how many of those siblings or datings do we see? Like, there's stuff like that out there, and they're actually just dating.
There's
so
a reality show there.
they didn't
There's a
want
reality
kids
show.
at the end of the day. So we
Well,
were.
you think?
We were on board. We were on board for them to keep dating.
I don't know how to follow that one up. Rachel, I want to talk a little bit about your show just because you're covering news, obviously. I was listening to quite a bit of it during the election. How is that, like, I guess, what your relationship with Van and how you guys kind of approach that together? I think you guys have such a great chemistry with this show. How do you approach kind of some of the more sensitive topics? Because there's definitely some times on that show where you guys are respectfully disagreeing and going off on tangents like that. Yeah. How do you kind of bring that back when things do get heated to make sure that you guys are staying on point and you guys are covering what you actually want to get to?
We have family meetings. We've had a couple on the podcast, and that did not go well. And then we've had some before and after. And I think what we've learned, because we're coming up on 5 years, is that we need to, especially right now where we are, we're realizing that our audience is growing because people are looking for someone who's not doing, to your point, that's raw, that's real, that's not so curated, that maybe is a little bit emotional, that's asking questions that you don't necessarily see on television or maybe even in print. And so we've realized that people, all eyes are on us in a different way now, or it's just a little bit more intense. So we have meetings before the podcast to kind of see. Something I learned when I was filling in for First Take. Before the show, they take the topic and then they say, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And then they would kind of come in the middle. Like, do we agree? Do we not agree? Where do we stand? How does this make you feel? And then sometimes we bring in an expert, if it's just a little bit too much, who can flesh things out in a better way than we can. So maybe we don't get too emotional about it. So I think those meetings, those family meetings, are really good. And sometimes we have to have them after because, you know, things do get a little bit.
I mean, do you feel like it's
intense. Critical,
like in this space, like First Take's a great example of that, where you can flesh that conversation out and like really you kind of understand both person's point of view in podcasting? Like, is that refreshing to you, and why is that a reason why you really love this medium?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you can see us on our podcast work things out in real time sometimes. Sometimes the conversation, it switches because we're fleshing it out and, you know, as we're talking about it. But something that you said, what was the question that you said? You said,
I already forgot it.
oh, you said something, and I literally, sorry, it's early in the morning.
But you know, I
You said
feel
something.
like podcasting is one of the few mediums that's really a long form conversation.
Yes.
It's not a 2-minute cable news hit. And so, you know, you really can find the time to dive into topics in a way that you can on TV or other formats. And I think that's what's so special about your show. You guys really have the time to go deep.
We do, and we go long. And that's what I was going to say, too, is it's like the group chat coming to life, which I think so many people, I mean, we really could name the show that. It's these are the conversations that you're having with your friends, your family members, your coworkers. It's the water cooler talk. And we're able and fortunate enough to have the opportunity to flesh that out in such a way where people are like, that's what I was thinking. And then you see that in the comments, people going, like, that's the best thing as a podcaster, right?
Yeah, I was going to say the
see
comments
people
really.
going back and forth in the comments and really taking your conversation to another level and making us think about things we didn't even think about before.
Absolutely. I feel like the comments get even further, right? Like my episodes are usually 2 hours, but some of these topics you could talk about for days. But it's also the community then coming back into it and it's like they're teaching me. Yeah. They're having that conversation further, and the comments are great.
Yeah, something we talk a lot about when we do our print magazine, when we do our kind of online coverage is the reader is king. And like, if the reader doesn't know what they want to read yet, like if you're writing about something you're really passionate about, that's gonna kind of show through. But I was listening to like your last episode, Morgan, and what I thought was really interesting was like how you guys kind of swarm together to support those questions that are coming in, because these people are going through a really difficult time. Could you talk a little bit about like that kind of support system with your show when people are coming to you in some serious times of need?
Yeah, absolutely. We try to put ourselves in their shoes, really. Like, if I was dealing with this, how would I handle it? And we're not some moral police. We're not, we don't think we're higher, or what we say, our takes are end all be all. Like, it really is the whole community. It's an effort. That's why I bring on different people. If it was me and one same co-host every week, it would be boring. It'd be dry. The takes would be the same. We'd be giving less good advice. And so mixing it up and making sure we're trying to hit their problem from all angles so then they can take it and pick what's best for them and their context. And then also the community chiming in. Like some of the best advice, because I do another show with my dad too, which is all dad advice. Some of the best advice comes from the comments that are people that are like, hey, I was in your shoes 5 years ago. I left and my life is forever better for it. So it's really amazing to see how impactful a little podcast is, especially when you start doing live shows and meeting these people in person and they're like, I got out because of you. Like, your show saved me.
Totally. I feel like that's one of the reasons we're so excited to have your video now on Spotify, because some of those moments where you guys go really deep or you find these really poignant,
I cry constantly.
I mean, it's one of those things. I hate to say it, but it's what you want to see. You want to see when the host is crying. That's something you want to see. So
I'm a crybaby.
We think the show is going to grow insanely with the video on Spotify. It's going to reach a lot of people.
It really is. And it's such a have your cake, eat it too, right? Like, a lot of people listen as they're driving, as they're doing things, as they're, cleaning, but you can back it up. And like, I read the title and my co-host isn't saying anything, they're making a face. So it's like, okay, let me see. Oh my God, Lauren's jaw is on the floor. But also in terms of accessibility too, like there's so many people that are hard of hearing or deaf, and like it's opening up so much of the content to people with disabilities as well, which is, that's amazing too.
Just to wrap this up, this industry's changed so much over the last 5 years, really the last 10 years. Let's put the futurist caps on. We're at South by Southwest. It's a technology convention as well. Where's this industry going in the next 5 years?
I feel like we're in the golden age right now. Like, I really love where we're at. I think I'd love to just see it go broader in terms of like, this is the one thing I'll get on board with AI, like AI dubbing. How many languages can my podcast get out to, and things like that. So I think language and accessibility is a big one for me.
We should chat about that. I think you're going to see the format get more and more engaging. I think video is a good example of that. Comments now really being a part of the game. I think there's going to be more ways for that interaction between audiences and their hosts, and I think there's going to be a lot of fun ways that we enable that. And I think that's going to mean that it's going to reach more and more people, which we're really excited about.
It's funny you said AI, because in my mind I was like, no AI, but that's a beautiful way.
That's a beautiful way. That's how I'm on board with AI and podcasting.
I don't have a specific idea, but I think something that you said that is really rewarding as a podcaster is you talk in front of a camera, or you're holding the microphone, and sometimes you do feel alone. You don't realize how many people are listening to you, how many people are holding on to the things that you're saying, or talking about it amongst their own circles. And so to meet somebody in person or somebody stops you and says, on the plane I was coming here, somebody that I wouldn't even think, not to judge, but that would listen to the podcast, and they said higher learning, and I thought, oh my gosh, that makes me feel so good. Talking about tears, it's just like, wow, they're really listening. So accessibility is something, I don't know what that looks like, but I would love to interact more with the audience. I want to see them, I want to feel them in the way that they're able to do with us.
I think that's what audiences really want. Like I said, they feel like their podcast hosts are their best friends. And I feel like the natural extension is you want to see your best friend in person every so often. And I feel like as you grow the show and expand your brands, there's going to be a lot of really great experiential opportunities.
Awesome. Well, it's a great place to end it. Thank you all so much for coming in.
Thanks
so much for having us.